Working on my Midget today, replacing the clutch, the hydraulic clutch. Here it is here. I heard the echo of the hood. Went with the aftermarket clutch there. If you can see that, I don't know, is it upside down or right side up? There it is. Got it. Got the linkage replaced there with a new pin in it. Put a little grease in there. Made sure nothing was rounded or anything. Looks like a little rust on the master cylinder there for the brakes. So I'm going to put that cover back on. One of the most important things is this hose here. If this hose right here gets chafed down there, you got to have the grommet on it. Without that grommet, you got a problem, because it'll just cut right through the hose, and then you'll lose your clutch while you're driving it and eat up your synchros and destroy the tranny. So that grommet right there is very important. Okay, I don't know which way is up on this camera here, but I'm about ready to connect my slave cylinder up underneath and start bleeding. I'll show you the trick of bleeding it. The main trick of bleeding it is to fill it up, and first thing you do is put a rag right there underneath that fitting and catch all the fluid, and you bleed it out there to get the air out of the master cylinder. Otherwise you'll be pumping forever and you won't get any clutch. That's the key right there. I've owned this car 36 years and I've replaced this clutch several times. The first time I spent 2 weeks trying to replace the clutch and get the air out of it until I finally figured it out right there. That's the key. I see all these videos on this and none of them say to bleed it. What you do is you bleed it from right there first, and then you wipe all the stuff off, put a little brake cleaner on there, and you're good to go to start pumping from the bottom. I'll show you another trick too. Keep track of your coil wires. Undo the cover. Keep track of the screws around, and there's the rotten slave cylinder right there. We're going to get rid of that and replace it. Right here's the slave cylinder, and I made this piece of metal here, drilled 2 holes in it, and it's got the cap on there, right there where the hydraulic hose connects in. And the trick with this is, I'll show you. Before I get going, I'll show you this, how to get this out. I took and pulled this thing off in a vise, this bracket right here, and then I cleaned it all up with steel wool, and then took and put it's a really tight fit. You'd have to use a hammer to get it in there. So what I did was I heated it up a little bit over the stove, and then it slid right in. I just tapped it in lightly with a hammer, and I got it centered there so that fulcrum pin is lined up in the center there. So here's the trick. I can't do it because I need 2 hands, but I'm going to take this rod right here. See this rod? Put it on these vice grips. I'm going to stick it right there in that hole and push that cylinder in, and then lock this thing down so the cylinder's pushed all the way in. Okay, you see how I got that? It's like a heavy gauge wire. It's almost like a rod. I've got it stuck inside there, and it's got this thing pushed all the way in. And see what it did is it blew out the plug that goes in there. I'm going to put the plug back in now. Next, I'll take it under the car and I'll go ahead and put it in. I'll put the hose on there, get everything lined up, and then start bleeding before I pull this rod out of here. When I pull the rod out after I bleed the cylinder to get that one fitting bled through to get the air out of the cylinder, then I'll pull this out, and what it'll actually do is the piston will pull the hydraulic fluid down the line and towards the cylinder. Then we'll start pumping. Okay, here I am under the car taking a picture of connecting the slave cylinder. We've got the hose connected. Took the plug out. There's the plug out of there, and put the hose fitting on there, and I have it all blocked off with my rod stuck inside there in this bar. if you could see that up there, right here, and then there's a rod right inside there. I don't know if you could see it with the light. It's pretty poor down here because I'm laying under the car. Okay, step on the clutch and hold it down. Don't let it up until I tell you. Okay, you can let up now. That's the way you that's the way you prime it to get the master cylinder on the clutch bled. And then you take and you'll wipe it up. Don't get any on the car, you'll ruin the paint. I got it in, mounted it up, and started purging with the tri-vac. So that's the process of just get some of that fluid through there to get started. Okay, I pumped the tri-vac. I don't know if you can see the hose there. Keep your eye. Here comes the bubbles. Okay, that's what you do with a tri-vac, and you support it up there, make a trap so it's up higher. That way you go pump the pedal. You go pump the pedal, you leave the valve open and suck some of that back in there and get the air out. Changing the clutch master cylinder and slave cylinder becomes a chore. You need to be sure that that reservoir doesn't go low. Below the line you can go 3, maybe 4 times with the tri-vac, back and forth. You might have to do it 30 or 40 times before you get all the air out. It's always been a challenge. So do your best and get all the air out. It's what you do. You can get a helper to help you pump it through and make it solid. You need a nice stiff clutch with these cars. These cars have nice clutches. A lot of people underestimate them, but they drive real nice when you got a good clutch. Feels great. Well, here we are. Looks like Howie G has clutch in his MG. Here it is. Oh yeah, nice and stiff. All the way down. That's what I like. Okay, guys. This is my first video. Let me know if you like it. Howie G, checking out.